Supreme Court justices will hear arguments today about President Trump's effort to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. The Trump administration's accusing her of mortgage fraud, even though she's not been charged.
The legal question at hand here for the High Court is whether the president has the authority to remove Cook. Federal Reserve Chair, we should note, Jerome Powell, is expected to be at that hearing in her support. Now, if the court rules in President Trump's favor, he could appoint a new federal governor to replace Cook, giving his members a majority on the board.
And bringing back in our chief legal analyst, Kali Froze. Again, we're going to reiterate this is not trying the facts of the case of whether or not Lisa Cook did or did not fraudulently put things on a mortgage application. What it is dealing with is whether or not the president has a right to remove a Fed governor.
Not just that, does the president have the ability to remove a Fed governor without cause?
Right.
At that last sentence, that's what's extremely important. Trump's team is saying, we're not looking for a free pass to fire any type of governor. We want to be able to say the president has the authority to fire for cause. And what is the cause? What Annie just mentioned in the read-in is that she did fraud on an application. So that is going to be the key issue. And everyone is watching this case. You mentioned Jerome Powell is going to be present in the hearing today when they conduct these oral arguments. And so I am anxious to see, because we've got mixed reviews on this. In the past, they've talked about how independent agencies can be fired with or without cause, but they've made the reservation for this chair, for this board, for the Federal Reserve, saying we're talking about all those other guys. We are not talking about the Federal Reserve. This is going to put that right in the crosshairs. And that's why the Trump administration is attempting to say, hey, we're not looking for a free pass. We're saying that I have cause. And once I have cause, you don't have an ability, this court or any court has an ability to tell me that I can't fire for cause. That is the argument that the Trump administration is making.
Khalif Cook's legal team argues that her removal lacked due process. She wasn't given the chance to respond before she was dismissed. Talk about that due process.
They're saying due process is an issue, and they're also saying part of that due process is something called selective prosecution. And their team lists a number of things. They point to 4 Trump cabinet members, his deputy attorney general, and Pulte, the person that pulled this to the attention, his own relatives recently made applications of multiple mortgages similar to Cook's without any suggestions of wrongdoing. So they're saying, not only are you denying my due process, I have 9 examples of where these are folks that are close to you that have done the exact same thing. He didn't bring any allegations of charges. And so that selective prosecution or threat of prosecution is going to be at issue here. If it's really an issue, you got 9 people that you should be bringing charges against right now.
If you're looking at your crystal ball, how do you see these discussions and arguments going?
It's going to be a really hard one-vote decision. And I'll tell you why. On Trump's side, they're saying that Article 2 of the Constitution gives the president the power to basically remove anybody that he wants to. And they argue that he should be able to remove them, folks that he doesn't want to work with. On the other side, her team is saying that, listen, you need cause. And I have to point to why we started this. I say this a lot, that Congress is extremely reactive. We're not proactive, we are reactive. Something bad happens, we create a law. Well, what bad happened? In the 1800s, we had financial crisis back to back to back. So in 1913, we go and form the Fed chair. And they were specific in the way they formed it. They wanted to shield them from any political influence. And so if the court believes that this is political influence, that you're unable to point to cause, and all you're saying is, I don't agree with you, I don't like you, and I want you removed, then the court is not going to do that, because they're going to point to the original intent of why Congress formed this specific independent agency. We're not talking about the other ones, but just this one, because it's more quasi-administrative, more quasi-private, more quasi-executive, they're going to argue that the executive does not have the power to do it. So if I have my crystal ball, I think it's a close vote, but they rule that the president does not have authority to remove without cause, and they'll keep that in place.
Another interesting wrinkle, too, why Powell might be interested is because even after he's done with the chair, he can still sit on the board until 2028. But if the president's allowed to fire for cause, Powell could also lose his seat on the board as well. Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.